Nevermore. Our next performer runs a show called the Cafe Gallery, and she's been doing poetry for years and years all over. Leonard! Hi! Good costume. He didn't recognize me. Good job with this. On my car on the way here. Our next performer runs a thing called the Cafe Gallery at the Gallery Cabaret, 2020 North Oakley. She does it twice a month, and she could tell you what days, the first and third.
It's every other Wednesday, and that was next week. Yep.
At the Gallery Cabaret. And she's been doing performances all over the city, and she is a really talented performer. And just listen to this woman's voice. It's really cool. Ladies and gentlemen, Jenna Kuypers.
Thank you. Apparently, to listen to my voice because it's really cool. But what he didn't tell you, I don't know where I came up with this idea when I was writing poetry, to try to come up with a poem for every element in the periodic table. And I was like looking at something and I saw like Kohlschreiber on tennis. I'm like, Kohl. I thought I know that's from German, and I thought of Alkoholvini, which is the origins of the word alcohol, which is what I learned from learning about the element antimony. And it's scary that you're learning this crap, but I'm working on it. I've got a lot of them done, and I have a bonus poem, and I don't know how, well, in a way it's horrific, but this is actually a bonus poem from the periodic table of poetry series, and this is a bonus because it's hydrogen cyanide. Some people might know what that is, have connections with it already. There you go. He was once a college chemistry professor, but the Waffen-SS assigned him to work in a Nazi propaganda station in Berlin until the Reich main security office ordered him to go to the Dachau camp to get paperwork. He left his wife and his 2 children for the 2-day trip, and when he arrived, the lieutenant general was away from his office, which left him alone at the camp. In his offices, he paced. Part of him didn't want to go outside. There was safety inside those office walls. But after nearly an hour of pacing, he decided to just go out there. Face it. Get it over with. The air felt heavy when he stepped outside. He could feel the weight of the move he made. His legs grew heavier. He dragged his feet toward the open walkway. There was that heavy haze in the air. He knew what chemical reactions caused that distinct smell in the smoke and haze working its way through the camp. He saw across the clearing the doors closed to the showers, and he then walked with a new determination to bring himself to the hall. He could hear the sounds of people inside grow louder, but then he caught a glimpse of a guard that just made their way to the roof. As he got closer, he watched the soldier open what looked like a can and then shake it into the vent at the center of the building before closing that vent and walking toward that ladder back down. From the moment the contents from that can made its way into that building, with every subsequent step that he took, he heard the wails and screams get louder and louder from the Jews inside. He stopped for a moment. Look, he thought, he knew what this was. Just get used to this. And then, that's when he saw that soldier walking toward the ladder from the building. And he caught up to the soldier, still holding the can in his hand, so he asked to see the can. Once he had it in his hand, he looked at all the elements on the label. Zyklon B, hydrogen cyanide. He knew that this poisonous liquid boiled at just above room temperature, so all they had to do was drop some from a sealed can into an open hall, poisoning thousands in less than a half hour. He knew the Germans first thought of using this prussic acid against Napoleon in 1814. If they had, it would have been the first time hydrogen cyanide was used in warfare. But look at him now, the chemistry professor, reduced to thinking of how all the Jews inhaled this bitter almond smell of hydrogen cyanide until it combined with their red blood cells, starving them of oxygen until they died. Suddenly, he needed to take a deep breath. He saw the blue stains on the concrete walls before returning the empty can to the soldier. The soldier, making small talk, said, one of the Jews pleaded to me, I'm a decorated World War I vet in the artillery battalion. We shot gas shells at the enemy. I shouldn't be here. My papers are in my luggage. And we just keep telling him to go into the showers. And he knew in World War I we shot those shells into trenches in France. So he shrugged to commiserate. He knew that everyone here fights their own battles in this war. He told the soldier to notify him when the screams inside stopped and they opened the doors and started the crematorium. Then he walked away. At 50 meters, he clutched at his pockets to find his cigarettes and lighter. He wanted anything to calm him down so that he could focus on anything else until it was time. He stood in the field, chain smoking, until he heard the running footsteps in the distance. He looked at his pocket watch. 20 minutes, 20 minutes just passed. The gas chamber doors were open, so he waved to the soldier and he quickened his pace to get to the building. There were different soldiers there at this time as he walked to the doorway. It was dark inside, but he could make out a pyramid of people toward that small, now closed center vent. From what he could tell, it looked like the Jews tossed their babies and their small children toward the top in an effort to keep the children alive. One of the soldiers passed him, so he asked him how long he had been there. Nearly a year, he answered. So he had to ask if doing this, if seeing this bothered him. The man only answered, if you do something long enough, you get used to anything. With that, he nodded slightly and knew he saw enough. He walked away. He later got his paperwork as quickly as possible, and so that he could actually get out of there as quickly as possible. The tension knot shrunk in his stomach as he got home, but when he pulled into his driveway, he saw his wife sitting outside their home with all the windows open. Getting out of the car, he could hear her coughing, sounding more and more hoarse with each gasp. He only wanted to hold her, but concern overtook him as she explained that she had just used a pesticide fumigant throughout the house, and she couldn't even breathe while inside those walls. He looked at the second floor of the house to see for the children, and she told him they were each staying at friends' houses. That chemistry professor could see that fumigant that's killing the vermin inside their home. Hydrogen cyanide was now in their home. A form of Zyklon B was now in their own home. As all she was trying to do was kill the vermin. But the propaganda ministry that he now worked for is telling the nation that the Jews are the rats and that the Jews are the vermin. So he looked at their house and he told her that they would get out of here tonight as far as they possibly could. They'd get their children and they'd make this effort to save themselves. Then he held her close before they left their German home, holding hands.